great companionship. And they take anybody, you know, if they have an open seat, they'll take anybody. All right. I know. I'm finished. Okay, I got a public service announcement for you, and then we'll have John, who wants to speak briefly about the new shenanigans of our wonderful United States Congress. I guess now that's treason probably or something.
My lips are sealed.
This was a scary
here we go.
moment for Elliott Sadler and everyone at Richard Petty Motorsports. Thankfully, the folks at NASCAR have taken every precaution to ensure the safety of our drivers. And I hope you do the same thing when you get in your car. The Department of Transportation says that taxi drivers are 4 times more likely to be in a serious accident. Buckle up, watch the road, and please do not text and drive. It could be the last text you ever sent. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
And as you know, it is illegal in New York State to have your cell phone out and be using it anyway. I was hit by a guy on his cell phone with a friend down in Long Island last year. He said, gee, I was just looking for a second at my cell phone, and he didn't see the traffic had stopped and slammed into the back of our car, demolishing 3 cars, I might add. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured. John, Doc Hamels, you're on, John.
Good morning, Reed. Good morning, Senator Young. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine. Boy, it's a little damp out there, but we're got good spirits in here. Well, good morning, everyone. Just to start out, I just want to do a plug for the upcoming annual Rotary auction, the Westfield Mayville Rotary auction. And Reed, if you're not aware of this, what you can do here is for $10, you get a ticket like this, and you get a chance to bid on great prizes and donations that are given this year. Listen to this one: Crosby, Stills, and Nash concert at Presque Isle. How cool is that?
That is terrific.
Okay, that's one of the items. There's coins, there's all kinds of restaurant certificates, and just thousands of different things that are going to be there. So that's going to be May 5, and I guess we're going to hit it on the poster there. This May 5, it's at the Exempt Firemen's Hall in Westfield from 5 to 7, $10, and you can contact any one of us that are Rotarians. Harry Barton is our contact person in Mayville, or excuse me, in Westfield, and there's just all kinds of us all over the place. So that's coming up on May 5, the Rotary Club auction, and that raises lots of funds for all of our charities and service projects that we do in the area. Rotary is just an awesome organization. Okay, are you ready? Here we go.
Hit me.
Okay, Reed, I was thinking about this. Good news, bad news. All right, the good news is I'm working to try to get President Obama here. Okay. The bad news is I would have to, and the crew here would bring cat food to you in jail. And I'll tell you why. All right. This is how it would work. There's this law that Reed was referring to that was passed not long ago.
Thursday.
Thank you.
Week of last Thursday.
It seems like just the other day.
In the middle of the night, I might add.
Dark. H.R. 347, and its nickname is called the Trespass Bill. But the full title is called, listen to this one, this tells you everything, Federal Restricted Buildings and Grounds Improvement Act of 2011. What the heck does that mean?
They're planting bushes, I guess.
That's what it sounds like to me. Okay, so Reed and I have been analyzing this law a bit, and here's my take on the thing, all right? It says if you knowingly remain on property, you can get arrested. Well, that seems reasonable. It's trespass. It goes for any of our property. If you knowingly impede the conduct of government business, okay, we have to have a certain amount of protocol. We've talked about these things before. Disorderly or disruptive conduct within the proximity of a restricted building. Well, what does proximity mean? What is disruptive? Right, holding up posters. Now we're getting a little bit kind of restrictive here. Then obstruction or ingress, I've never heard that word, egress knowingly. So that means if you're in the way and you're holding up a sign or you're trying to make your thoughts known and somebody comes through, you're in the way, you get arrested. Very, very vague, as Rita noted. Physical violence against any person or property in restricted buildings and grounds. Again, I think that's reasonable. You don't want to be violent. But here it is, as he said, this is a felony law here where you can get up to 10 years imprisonment. The kicker is it's very vague. Restricted building, if it's posted, but here's the part, cordoned off where the civil service or secret service would be. Now cordoned off, if that just means, this area right here, you can't come in here. Well, here goes my concern. You know, I grew up in the 60s, like a lot of us here. And when you wanted to get somebody's attention, you got a bunch of people, you got signs, you got a speaker, you were in close proximity to wherever you needed to go to and made your feelings known. Now, if that cordoned off area now is all of a sudden a quarter of a mile away or whatever these guys determine is appropriate, it's like these folks are becoming more and more insulated. How are we going to get our feelings known and the information out? So I'm very concerned, as Reed has already pointed out, that this is really a way to block, the progress and free speech and so forth. This covers the White House grounds, the Vice President's residences, and buildings where the President or any other person protected by the Secret Service may visit temporarily. So, Reed, prepare yourself. If I get President Obama here, I think I might have to host the day.
Thank you, John.
So back to you.
Okay. Yeah, the funny thing is, you don't even have to know the Secret Service is there. They could be at a picnic or something. If you protest too much, and they decide what too much protest is, or too close or whatever, off you go, 10 years in jail.
Off with your heads.
And ruin your life, I might add. I've got enough of that. That Congress really irks me, though, Kathy.
Well, I want to differentiate because you said the Senate, and it's a U.S. Senate.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's make sure this is understood. This is not a New York State law yet.
I doubt it will be.
I doubt it will be, too. Kathy has served many long years now, actually. How many years has it been since I first met you?
As of May 10th, it'll be the 7th year that
7
I've served in the state Senate.
Okay, that's a lucky number. You
Yes,
know that.
it is.
Yeah, 7
Yes,
years.
it is.
You, of course, you followed Pat McGee, who was a wonderful senator, too.
Yes, she was.
And I think she gave you some training, because you turned out perfectly. Now, Kathy, there are many different issues going on in the New York State Assembly and Senate, and I wanted to chat with you about a couple. First of all, I wanted to bring up the millionaire's tax, the state millionaire's tax. Now, you said that they are they've come to some sort of a compromise on that. What are they going to do?
Right. Well, last December we were in session, and there was a restructuring of the personal income tax. So, for example, it was set to expire on the higher income earners, but the definition under the millionaires at that time was if you made $250,000 a year or more. Well, as you know, Reed, a lot of the small businesses actually file as S corporations, which meant that higher tax rate actually hurt about 60,000 small businesses in New York State. So last December, we went into session and we were able to restructure the personal income tax so that the highest earners, $2 million and above, still pay a higher rate. They pay a slightly less rate than they did before because New York State had probably the highest personal income tax in the whole country. They pay a little less, but they still pay a lot more than everyone else. The great thing is we were able to cut the personal income tax for middle income earners, and actually it's at the lowest rate that it's been in New York State since the 1950s. It's over 50 years that it's been this low. So that was a great move forward, and we have to continue to work on cutting taxes in New York State, and we've been making progress. It really differentiates the U.S. Senate with the New York State Senate because we've been able to make a lot of positive changes over the past 2 years.
It seems like the United States Senate is giving you a black eye, because you're a senator too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but well, you know, the Republicans did get together, according to the headlines yesterday, and they spiked the millionaire's tax in the United States
in the U.S.
Senate.
Right.
Even though Romney, here's the heck of it. You and I pay about 40%, including our Social Security, normally. Romney made, I think it was $21.7 million last year, and he paid a grand total of 13.9% tax on that. So, ouch! Something, he still has the money in his pocket.
Well, one of the things that I think we need to do as a country and as a state, obviously as a state, is that we have to reduce the burden on everybody. You know, people are struggling right now. National economy still isn't where it needs to be. That's had a major impact on New York State's budget. But we need to do all that we can to make it more affordable to live and work and do business in New York State. And that's really where I'm focused, on private sector job growth, on making it more affordable here. reducing people's taxes. It's really all part of a big picture because we all want a brighter future for our kids and our grandkids. And the only way that we can do that and have career opportunities so they can stay after they graduate, because a lot of our young people have to leave after they graduate because they can't find jobs.
The only place you could get a job is if your father died up here.
But the good news is we got you back.
When I retired, yeah. They put me back to work.
But it is our biggest export, so we have to change things
Sure,
around.
well, we have a fine education system. The State University of New York is an excellent system.
Yes, it is.
And it gets high ratings. But again, if there's no jobs, the kids are going to run. All three
Exactly.
of mine did. They all went through the SUNY, and they all had to leave the state to find work. Millionaire's tax, I want to return briefly on that. I had a nice chat with, we have a phone call, but I wanted to mention the fact Andy Goodell said, if you pass the millionaire's tax and you increase it anymore, they'll just run away. Millionaires are very movable. They have an apartment in
they are
Delaware
very
where there's no
portable.
tax.
Actually, a lot of them have moved out of the state.
Yeah.
And they've gone to Florida, places like that.
Right, although they still have their apartment in New York, and they still stay in New York anyway.
But they're limited to the number of days,
Right,
so
who
then
counts
they pay
those?
taxes. They don't pay taxes at all in New York State anymore, so that's not the way to go
Right.
either.
Okay, we have a call. Good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. First off, I have a personal message I'd like to put out. Last week, I got the sad news of Ron Bishop's death.
Uh-huh.
Mr. B, you have been such an asset to our community. Your interest in and kindness done to so many, including me, will be missed, especially by all the children whose lives you and your dear wife, Emma, have enriched. Rest in peace, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
That is so nice, and
Yeah.
our condolences to the entire family.
Right, they have a wonderful dance studio over in Westfield. And, she used
I've
to-
been there.
His wife used to be a rockette.
That's right. They lived in New York City for many
Yeah,
years, and I'm sorry to hear that news.
Yeah. Okay, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do.
All right, what's up?
I understand that we need to lower taxes in order to, because we are one of the highest, if not the highest, state that, for our tax policies. But how are we going to pay for this? Because I'm looking at the federal, the federal by Ryan, Representative Ryan's budget, and all I can see there for the way they're going to balance that is going to be on the poor, and that's just not equitable in my mind.
Well, I think that one of the areas you have to look at is wasteful spending, and I can't speak as well to the federal budget because that's not something that's under my jurisdiction or I have a direct impact on, and I don't know as much about that as I do the state budget, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But with that said, you just had all that news about that government agency-sponsored trip to Las Vegas, and I think it was over $800,000 of the taxpayers' money that they blew.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to go after those types of situations, and on the state level, we've been able to target spending that doesn't make sense. We have to continue to root out waste, fraud, and abuse, for example. There's a lot of waste and fraud in the Medicaid program. We've been able to root out some of it. We've got to do an even better job. That could mean billions of dollars a year in savings, and that's really what you have to go after now. Last year, we actually had a $10 billion deficit that we had to close, and we figured out how to do it. This year, we had a $2 billion deficit. But you really have to go through the entire budget line by line and figure out what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And for example, you bring up seniors. We had the EPIC program in New York State. Mm-hmm. Last year, Governor Cuomo actually basically decimated the EPIC program.
Yes, I was on it. I know that.
And so we wanted to save it, and we did the best we could in the Senate, so we were able to add some money to the EPIC program to keep it going.
Yes, I just got a notice, and when I went to pay for my prescription, it was back under EPIC.
Yes, so that's what we were able to achieve in the state budget. And I actually served on the health subcommittee where EPIC was under, and I said, without a doubt, EPIC and restoring EPIC has to be one of our top priorities in the state because so many seniors depend on it. And as you know, Medicaid Part D is the federal program, but there's a donut hole that people fall under. And if they don't have the EPIC program, then they're actually being required to pay hundreds of dollars that they can't afford.
That a lot of them absolutely, period, do not have. If you are living on Social Security, Security, which a lot of